Hey, John.
Hey, Eric. How you doing tonight?
Well, I've been a little busy dusting my chickens.
Dusting your chickens. Nice.
Or whatever that comment was.
I'm the one that has chickens. I don't dust them.
Yeah, I still can't quite figure out what Zuckerberg was talking about. So, slow news week.
Oh my gracious sakes. It was a good week to be sick, I'll tell you that. I was able to consume quite a bit of news. I have been, as you can probably tell from my voice, not 100%.
Well,
a few fries short of a Happy Meal.
I hope you're feeling better now.
It's getting better.
Yeah. Well, there was the whole Facebook thing. I just don't understand that one at all. And the chickens comment, for those who are confused, apparently in Zuckerberg's first conversation with the press after the issue, he somehow decided to equate the distribution of hate speech on platform to dust getting in chickens in processing plants. Which just seems like a very strange analogy.
You're allowed 2% hate speech.
That's right. Oh, man. Oh, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my gracious. So many things.
Well, I vote we just skip that whole Facebook thing. Well, you know, and you're not a Facebook guy, and I actually deleted my Facebook account, I'm going to guess a year or so ago, for other reasons. I didn't really use it hardly at all anyways, and it was just kind of, why bother continuing with it? None of my kids use it. They're all on Snapchat, so
yeah.
Is this the beginning of the end of Facebook? Are they going to go the way of MySpace?
I think they're a little too big to go the way of MySpace, to be honest. I think especially, a lot of places around the world, the Facebook is the internet. I made a comment to Shirley about how, horrible Facebook was, privacy-wise, and she kind of slapped me down a little bit and said, "Don't you sound all high and mighty? I know you have a Facebook account. You don't check it much, but you have it." I'm like, okay, fine. Yes, I have not deleted my Facebook account, but I do not post, or I presume that they don't have a very good profile on me if that's all they have.
Well, my wife, she's the same. She never posts, but there are a couple groups of things she likes to follow, and they all get together on Facebook. And so she mostly just is a consumer of content.
Lurker.
For a couple specific groups. And I asked her, if those moved elsewhere. And she said, yeah, I'd get rid of Facebook. I don't use it except for, this one group that I can't find anywhere else. A couple of the others, she said, I could find other places online.
There's a lot of family stuff. Shirley's on it a lot.
Yeah.
So, we'll leave out all the politic stuff, please. Although one brief comment, like hot off the presses news, is I just read something a little bit ago that they've tracked Guccifer 2.0 to being an actual GRU agent. We'll see how that unfolds.
Yep. We seem to be saying that every week. We'll see how that event unfolds.
Exactly. Okay, but staying out of those deep waters, a little bit of follow-up from last week's AMD thing. There was a press release by AMD that said, as far as I could read, nothing. I mean, it was completely content-free. There was also just yesterday a post by their AMD CTO on their community site that actually had a little bit of more data. And it was pretty much as Carl said last week, for the Master Key and Rise and Fall and Fallout, there are firmware patches available and being released. Those can be solved. For Chimera, there's a mitigating patch that will be released, and they're quote-unquote working with the third-party provider that designed and manufactured the Promontory chipset on other mitigation. So like Carl said, there's the one kind of concerning thing that may wind up being a hardware thing that can't be fixed, but maybe only mitigated. Otherwise, I think that was,
for the most part, much ado about nothing.
Yeah, that was more of a nothing burger than Meltdown and Spectre were. So topic-wise, oh my gracious, there were so many things that happened this week.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how this develops. Maybe at some point in time we'll develop like a rapid fire thing or something like that. But I guess for now though, let's just hit up. You've got a couple topics for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to figure out how to do an episode where we don't mention cryptocurrencies or blockchains. That seems to be very popular in the news. One of the key features of a blockchain is that distributed ledger that you continually add stuff to. Once it's been written, that transaction has been written to the blockchain, it's there forever. And some researchers in Germany now have discovered, because so here's the other thing about
and you
even
can have some
Bitcoin
metadata.
Blockchain, but there is a set of arbitrary data. I don't know, is it not very many bytes, but there is the ability to insert random data into the blockchain.
So you can have basically send for a transaction, sender, receiver, recipient, amount, and a little bit more about the transaction. There's a way to have a block of data.
Yes, some small set of data. And some researchers in Germany have found about 1,600 files stored in Bitcoin's blockchain, and at least some small number of them contained sexual content, and even some other in child abuse and child abuse content and links to dark web content inside the Bitcoin blockchain. And the key piece there was, if the blockchain, if you want to run a node, you have to maintain a copy of that entire blockchain. If it has illegal stuff in it, pornography or anything, you just running a node or possession of that blockchain can make it illegal. And so this completely untested legally, right? And it's in a blockchain. So there's no deleting it. There's no removing it without...
There's a reason why blockchains are considered immutable.
Yeah, so I think it's likely that people have... I could have sworn I saw something early on where someone had written the ICAR test virus string into the blockchain so that any AV running on a box that was also maintaining the blockchain would stumble and, throw that block into quarantine or delete it or whatever the AV was told to do, and thereby screwing up your mining rig or your node in the blockchain. Just another point.
Whole new legal conundrums for technology.
Yeah, especially around the concept of, and to me, it is still the number one problem with the blockchain, and not just in this specific case, but just blockchains in general, is you have to be able to somehow verify the data before it gets inserted into the blockchain in the first place. And that's the problem, where once you get it in the blockchain, hey, it's great. You can verify, you can validate it. No one's messed with it. You can do all sorts of cool things. And those are the things that get hyped when people get excited about talking about a blockchain and IBM tracking the tomato from farm to, delivery guy to the store, to your table. Those are the things they talk about, but they don't ever talk about the verifying whoever puts that data into the blockchain in the first place. That's the That's the kicker there.
Right.
Is it just shifts the social engineering aspect, I think, in some sense.
Well, you're not suggesting that they could find and not allow that in the first place, right? I mean, because there's any number of ways you could break up data across transactions.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no way to preempt that storage or reconstitution.
No, because if the point of a blockchain as well is to allow unverified, untrustworthy sources to add data to a blockchain, and then all the other nodes, decide, yes, as long as it follows the rules and we're all playing by the same rules, then we'll accept it, and that block will get minted and added to the blockchain. It's going to be almost impossible to verify that the data going into a blockchain is what you really want without some, I think, potentially significant architectural changes to how blockchains kind of function in general. How do you stop somebody? How do you verify the data before it gets into the blockchain in the first place?
Well, yeah, I guess echoing what we just said earlier, it will be interesting to see how the legal system deals with the fact that now there are hundreds or thousands of people serving illegal content unwittingly. All right, so my first thing for you is actually just a small one, but there was a report that had some data about adoption. First of all, your hot topic, blockchain. Yeah. My hot topic, serverless. So
I sense a pattern.
So yeah. There's a trend for you. So this was some data that said container adoption this is purely to AWS services from a study from a company called Cloudability. Container adoption grew, 246% during the fourth quarter of 2017. So that is growing rapidly, with more than 70% share for the orchestration going to Kubernetes. So that is that is the winner, which is pretty obvious from the fact that all three of the biggies, Amazon announced their managed Kubernetes last reInvent, and Microsoft, I think, did it even before that. And then, of course, Kubernetes is actually a Google project, so you've got all three of the biggies there. Mesos is the second, but it is at a 25% share, but that has declined from 45% at the beginning of 2017. So Mesos is dropping rapidly, at maybe not from a magnitude sense, they might still be growing, but they're not growing nearly as fast enough to keep up with market share. So, Kubernetes is running away with the container orchestration space. Although I gotta say, one of my favorites, probably because I saw them at DockerCon a couple years ago, and I really liked their T-shirt, was Rancher, who Rancher, I think, actually moved to manage Kubernetes actually last year, but just from the UI perspective, I thought that was pretty cool. So the contrast to container usage, though, serverless adoption grew by 667%.
Wow!
In the fourth quarter, up from 321% the quarter before. Serverless is taking off. And with all of the announcements that AWS made at reInvent last year, things like Cloud9 for the inline editor that you can actually edit in the AWS console, and the ability to debug into your serverless functions, and the ability to get logging and trace them, and the ability to do blue-greening, so you can redirect a percentage of your traffic between functions, so you can do either A/B testing or slow roll your traffic over to a new function. serverless is, I think, going to take over the container space, to be honest. I also saw this week a great thread talking about a site that basically did everything. The entire site, the entire application was static content served from CDN and one big serverless function. So anything that actually had to hit the back end would hit their function, and that they were touting both solid reliability as well as massive reduction in cost. Something like 70% reduction in cost. So I had a second small thing here, which is this I thought was awesome. So this was artificial intelligence learning how to play tic-tac-toe.
Yes.
Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
So this is awesome. So they're in three examples here. I think the programs learned how to win by cheating. So the first one was it found where this was the best. I think this was the best one though. I should have saved this for last, but to win, it found where the answers were stored and deleted them, resulting in perfect memory. So this is the Bobby walks into the high school office and gives himself a grade. So a second one was the memory bomb. So it discovered that if it tried to make moves really, really at a very high up on the board, other players that did dynamic memory expanded the board and would crash. And so they ran out of memory and forfeited the match. And then what was the third one? The third one here, let's see, it discovered that rather than minimizing force, it could apply such huge force it overflowed the simulator's memory. So, this one was evolution discovered a loophole in the. Oh, sorry, this was a slightly different example, not the tic-tac-toe. This was a pilot learning to fly one where it would decide that it just made it would basically cause rollover. So this is the Galaga, the Galaga plot.
Right.
But anyway, this whole thread here, different ways that machine learning or AI learning algorithms discovers that sometimes cheaters prosper.
Well, is it really cheating though? If you didn't really tell them the rules, you told them to learn how to play.
Well, that's the exact same as the genie with the wishes, right? It will always find a way to interpret them in the worst possible way. Yes. Right. Yeah, I'm sure
the most efficient way, right?
Exactly. So I love the. So yeah, here's the quote. If kill all humans is the easiest solution to a program, then machine learning will do that unless prevented. Laws of robotics.
Yeah. That was my favorite one was the second one you talked about where the program, it was actually a bug. I think you could call it a bug in the program itself where the machine learned that, you could make a game board, however it was, any size, 5 by 5, 10 by 10, whatever. And it would just send a note to the other player saying, "Oh, my position is at 8 billion by 4 trillion." And as the player on the other end tried to expand their board to be able to plot that on their board, it would run out of memory.
Run out of memory. Yep.
So that's brilliant.
That was one of the examples here.
That's brilliant.
So that was a small one, but I thought that was a not as depressing an article. Well, unless you're Elon Musk and worried about AI taking over the world. But hey,
yeah.
Less existential thought inducing than many of the other news articles this week. What else you got for me?
So the other one was on back to cryptocurrencies. I refuse to call it crypto. Back to cryptocurrencies. People who have large sums of cryptocurrencies and want to make sure that they maintain those and keep control of those typically use what is known as a hardware wallet. So it's not an exchange. And it's not keys that are on your laptop that can be stolen by malicious software. It's typically a USB stick interface, and it stores all the private keys and keeps them away off your computer. And there's, certain things that keep it, secure, so that when you do plug it into your PC to actually try to transact and move Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency you want to move, that you have stored with it, it keeps it secure. Well, one of the companies is called Ledger. I think it's a French company, and a security researcher discovered a flaw and a way to acquire the private keys off those Ledger devices. So if you have physical access to the device. Now, this may not be a big problem, because, number one rule in security is if you have physical access to the device, it's not your device anymore. The problem with it was this company, Ledger, marketed itself that, hey, you can buy these off eBay. These are so secure that they're tamper-proof. You can get these off eBay. So what this researcher did was figured out a way to replace the firmware with some bad firmware, which the company claimed was impossible. Right. They have since fixed it. This company, Ledger, has since fixed it.
Oh, I remember, because the researcher gave them, he did responsible disclosure.
Yep.
It was the opposite of the AMD story.
Yes. And I haven't even got to the, I think, really cool little factoid of the case. Is the real interesting fact of the story I haven't mentioned yet is the researcher's name was Salim Rashid. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's 15 years old.
Awesome.
Which, wow.
That's fantastic.
That is impressive. So, yeah, he did the responsible disclosure, sent that off, and the Ledger guys, I think, kind of dismissed it somewhat at first, but they have since fixed it and moved on. And
that's good. Okay, well, I'll try. Let's do one more thing. Which my last thing for this week was that the StackOverflow Developer Survey came out.
Yes, I enjoy thumbing through that every year.
Yeah, every year they interview or survey. I think they said approximately 100,000 respondents.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-selected from people that will actually, go to Stack Overflow and agree to fill a survey and then actually complete the survey. But there's some good data here. Some interesting things. The first thing I thought was interesting was if you looked at platforms, that there was a difference. Let's see. Linux is the most popular at 48.3%, followed by Windows at 35%. So I guess I'm not sure what I would have done. I think I might have put Windows above Linux in my guess, and I guess I don't remember from last year, but that's interesting to see. Go open source.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing, so let's see. The next most popular, by the way, was Android at 29%, and then AWS at 24.1%.
Wow, AWS as a platform.
Calling that as a platform. Yeah, interesting, huh?
Is Azure on the list?
Yes. Let me see. There's no numbers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th. So it makes top 10. Azure is number 10 at 11%, by the way. So if you believe these numbers, it's about maybe 40% of AWS. Mac OS, by the way, was number 5, 17.9%, followed by Raspberry Pi. And then WordPress edges out iOS. Interesting, huh?
That's
the two in the top 10 that kind of blow my mind a little bit are 7 at WordPress. I guess I'm not in the, website design. I know that WordPress and WordPress plugins, I presume this is basically what people are doing is WordPress plugins, or contract site development. I think WordPress has taken over a whole lot of basic site design. So that one's kind of outside of my normal purview. And then number 9 at Firebase, at 14.5%. That kind of shocks me. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, there's just tons of fascinating data. Sorry, while you're chatting, I was just scrolling through tons of fascinating data in here. Definitely go take a look at it from the link in the podcast.
Yeah. So if you go to loved platforms, by the way, Linux takes top. Linux, serverless, AWS, and Pi are the top 4. And then I don't even know what ESP8266 is. So these must not be weighted based on number of respondents. So there are, let's see, it's a 67%. So I'm going to guess there are 4 people that do ESP8266 and 3 of them love it and 1 of them hates it. I don't know. I to be honest, I truly, I don't even know what that is. So it's clearly a gap in my knowledge. So the second part of the survey I was going to call attention to here was the languages, which I thought were interesting. So most loved language. You've already looked, haven't you?
I was on that one, but I've scrolled off.
Rust. Most loved language. Again, wow. The denominator must be small.
Oh, yes. Most loved languages.
Yeah.
I'm looking for Go and Swift.
Go's number 5.
5 and
Swift
6.
is 6.
Go and Swift.
edges out JavaScript. But if you...
JavaScript should be on dreaded list.
But if you look at wanted, look at wanted. Python number 1, JavaScript number 2. Yes. Yes. Party on. Yes. No. Dreaded.
So
dreaded Visual Basic 90%. 90% dread. Sorry, we need to have a what?
Yes. Sorry, I was going to say we need to have a podcast where we argue about JavaScript, because someone was telling me that we agree too much with each other and it would be better podcast if we actually argued about stuff every once in a while.
Yeah.
So we'll have to add JavaScript in there at some point.
Well, you'll be the old man on the island saying, I told you
That's
that
right.
You should not do JavaScript, and so here I am on my island. I'm the only person left alive that doesn't write in JavaScript. Sorry, man.
I'll have to keep very quiet about that Node.js program I just wrote.
Exactly. Pretty easy, wasn't it?
I did it against my will. So one of the things that I thought was interesting about this one too was, so just below the languages, you have the most loved, dreaded, and wanted frameworks, libraries, or tools. The most loved was TensorFlow.
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
That says a lot for AI/machine learning aspects, or
I don't. I guess I don't know what maybe they have comments or something like that. But my comment on that would be things that make you feel powerful are things that you like, and I suspect that TensorFlow makes people who didn't realize what they could do from a machine learning standpoint, makes them go, wow, I'm a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That would be my anthropomorphizing just a number. Yeah. So that's one of the things I felt a little bad about is if you go to Dreaded, look at Dreaded for frameworks, Cordova. And Xamarin are number 1 and 2. And Hadoop. And Angular number 4. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, JavaScript.
Oh,
death to JavaScript. Node's on the list. Node.js is on the list. React.
Yeah, sure, but down.
They're all on the list.
Download. No, yeah, whatever. So if you go to wanted, React and Node are the top 2. So, everybody loves what they're not doing, or Yeah. What's the phrase? Familiarity breeds contempt. I'm pretty sure that's what happened with me in Java.
Yeah.
But
we could
okay.
Go on
but hold on, I got
one
forever. More, and maybe we wind up cutting this out. But I thought that this was interesting from a security standpoint. And under work, Article 4, ethics. What would developers do if asked to write code for an unethical purpose? 58% say, or so would developers write code for an unethical purpose? 5% said yes. So, okay.
What's wrong with you? 5%?
But 36.6% said it kind of depends. So, okay. and 58.5% said no. But then the other thing I didn't like in here was who is responsible for writing code that accomplishes something unethical. The 57% blamed upper management versus 22% at the person who came up with the idea, or only 19% the developer who wrote it. So, I find that answer and the next answer kind of at odds with each other, because the next thing was, do developers have an obligation to consider the ethical implications? Yes, 79%. Good. Now consider that when you answer the other questions, damn it. But, I don't know. So this is, I guess maybe being in security, I've had many years of kind of maybe thinking about some of the bad things that can happen with software or something like that. I don't know. So maybe I'm not the average Stack Overflow survey respondent, but I thought this was an interesting set of questions to kind of ponder. And
yeah, you could do a whole podcast just picking some of these topics and debating them for a half an hour.
Who has enough time?
Move on to something fun now?
Let's do something fun.
So my something fun this week.
What you got for me?
Muppet Guys Talking.
This is a website?
Yes, it's a website, MuppetGuysTalking.com. And it's a documentary. It's a little over an hour long. A documentary of Frank Oz and a number of the original puppeteers and kind of how they got to meet Jim Henson and all the characters that they do, how they came up with the voices, and really just kind of giving some inside baseball about the Muppets and how they would film certain things and how they thought they were going to die at some point because of the contraptions they were laying on to make the puppets, run up the side of a wall all together, things like that.
Awesome.
And it was great. You have to actually, if you want to watch the film, you can see the trailer, but if you want to watch the film, you have to pay $10 and then you get a free download. So it's a documentary and it's just them sitting around a couch, just like the picture on the website shows, sitting on the couch and just chatting. And personally, I found it fascinating. The creativity and how they came up with the ideas and how they came up with the voices, and Jim Henson's genius, kind of mad genius and management style to get them to, pull out the right voice or the right character. And I didn't realize that different people in the beginning, they tried different people on different voices for different characters until they found the one that matches. Like Fozzie Bear was one or two different characters until it finally landed, on the main voice, and it went from there. And like Frank Oz talks about how they each do talk about how they, got the voices for each of the characters. Anyways, I actually paid the $10. I think it's $9.97 or whatever it was. I paid the $10, bought it, downloaded it, loaded it up in Plex so the family can watch it whenever we want again in the future. It was just a fun little documentary.
Well, I will have to ask. Shirley if she's interested. I suspect she would be. Okay, mine is computer related, but still somewhat fun, I think. Which is they are. Where is it? Okay, mine is something computer related, but fun, I think, which is computer algorithms as idea instruction booklets. So nonverbal assembly instructions. And so if you go to idea-instructions.com, and we will have that in the podcast.
So like the IKEA instructions. Yeah. So you go buy a desk or a table from IKEA. These are
right, but it's quick sort
algorithm instructions.
Right. Quick sort and merge sort and binary search. And the two that I thought were best here were the quick sort and the binary search. I mean, those are really quick sort's not an algorithm that I remember. That I can keep in my head all the time. I mean, obviously they're the easy dumb sorts like bubble sort are super, super simple. But, quick sort is a recursive sort, and you basically randomly choose something and then you shift everything that, to the left or the right based on whether it's higher or lower than what it is. And then you recursively sort on the other two partitions. But I remember that has been loaded back into memory because I have the card in front of me, which is totally totally awesome. So and there's a little bit about balancing trees, and anyway, I thought this was a great idea.
These are kind of fun.
A great idea, and non-verbal assembly instructions. So nothing super. Requires discussion per se, but go check it out. It's cool.
Yeah, will do.
All right.
Well, that was fun. Yeah. That was a long one.
That was a long one, and my voice is giving out. I haven't talked this much in a week. So
we'll finish up.
Hopefully it's people can stand to listen to it. All right. Yep. Another one down.
Have a good night, John.
Right. Have a good one, Eric. Bye.
We'll see you.